going to now open the Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. It is now 6:30 in the evening, Wednesday, June 19th, 2013. We're here at the William F. Dickinson Community Center, 1601 North Chrome Avenue. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Board Member Faircloth McCormick, absent. Board Member Maldonado.
Here.
Board Member Shelley. Board Member Wallman.
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chairman Burgess.
Here.
Chairman Bateman.
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. First item on the agenda, deletions and/or deferrals. Mr. City Attorney, any deletions or deferrals? None, Mr. Chair. Okay. Approval of the minutes, May 7th.
Move them.
Second. Okay. Questions or comments about any of it? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Item carries. New business, car number 813, CRA Commercial Enhancement Grants. Sir?
Good evening, sir, and members of the board. Staff recommends the CRA board approve the resolution authorizing the disbursement of commercial enhancement grant funds to the following grant applicant: the Landmark Hotel, Raymond S. Carroll, 55 South Flagler Avenue, Homestead, Florida. The applicant is eligible to receive up to $25,000 of commercial enhancement grant funds. On April 18, 2013, the Southwest Advisory Committee recommended the approval of Landmark Hotel's grant application. On October 11, 2011, the CRA Board approved Resolution CRA 2011-10-13 adopting the guidelines for the CRA Commercial Enhancement Program. The applicant is here. This grant is for bringing up the fire suppression system and the fire alarm system in the hotel up to code per request of the County Fire Department.
Thank you, sir. Can I get a motion? Or move it on? Thank you. Second?
Second.
All right. We got staff. Now questions from council.
Yes. Have this organization before come and asked for money, or this is the first time?
I believe this is the first time.
So they've never asked for any funding from the CRA ever?
I can't say that 100%, but I do not believe it has.
Okay.
Any further questions from council? At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone from the public that'd like to speak on this item, please come forward. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Board Member Maldonado.
Yes.
Board Member Wallman.
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess.
Yes.
Chairman Bateman.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 3, car number 817, Washington Avenue, Phase 1.
Staff recommends the board approve the resolution accepting the settlement proposal from Arch, the bond company for Trans Construction, the general contractor on the Washington Avenue Phase 1 project. There is a very detailed memo from the attorney's office regarding this project. Instead of reading the whole thing into the record, I would just like to summarize.
Please.
In November of 2009, the CRA board entered into a construction contract with Tran Construction for Washington Avenue Phase 1 streetscape and roadway improvements. The project ran from 2nd Street on Washington all the way down to Maury, included new center median, new landscaping, new lighting, and a public plaza on the south end. This project was funded by 2 grants, the CDBG funds and an FDOT LAP agreement. In June of 2011, the city and the CRA found the contractor Tran to be in default of its contract. They were being unresponsive. We were unable to contact them, and work had stopped on the project. At that point, we started working with the surety. We brought Tran back to the table to complete the project. What remained of the project was some electrical, some landscaping, but the majority of the work that had to be done was the public plaza. After a long negotiation, the city worked with the surety and believed that Tran could finish the project. at which point they went and they did their punch list items, and then they installed the plaza. After the installation of the project, both myself, city staff, the engineers found that the installation was completely unacceptable. The workmanship, the final product, it wasn't even complete. At which point, the surety, in conjunction with us, took Tran completely off of this project. What happened after that was, again, some lengthy discussions about how we can remediate this plaza, working with the surety. The surety felt that they could remediate it without tearing the plaza up. It was our belief that the only real solution is to demolish what was installed and to reinstall. The surety gave us numerous different remediation techniques. We went so far as to have them do a portion of the plaza. We still found it to be unacceptable, but the surety believed that they had the right to just fix the plaza. After, again, lengthy discussions with the attorney's office, with city engineers, myself, and the surety, we feel that the best outcome here, this has gone on for almost 4 years, is to accept a buyout agreement from the surety. Now, we have, again, we have the funds that we've retained from the project, about $78,000. The settlement agreement with the surety would be for $62,500. That would give us about $140,000 to complete the job. What this does is give us the ability to take back control of this project, to rebid the plaza, and to get us a project that the downtown deserves. And it also avoids lengthy, costly litigation that's uncertain. So, you know, it's our goal here at the CRA and working with the city to give the city the product that they deserve. And the best way we feel is to take back control and to rebid this job. We'll get another bond on the new job. Our estimates to complete are between $120,000 and $135,000. I do want to point out again that this is all grant funding. This did not come from the CRA's TIF funding.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you for being proactive. Very important. Council?
Mayor,
Yes, sir. Let's move it on first.
I'll make a motion for it.
Second?
Second.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Mr. Amaretto, does this make us, with legal fees and all that, does this cover basically what we've expended on those also?
We were very fortunate since this was part of a CDBG grant. We were able to use CDBG-R funding that we would have lost had we not used it to pay for our legal fees in this. So it didn't cost us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, how much were the legal fees?
I believe, I'd have to check, I think it was between $10,000 and $11,000.
And then how far along in the project were they prior to not completing it? What's the percentage, would you say?
Julio, I would say 85, 90. The plaza was the largest. They had put the landscaping in, and there were some electrical issues, but the plaza was the last piece.
And that was about 90%.
So what's left is 10% that needs to be done?
Yes, 10%, the plaza itself.
And you estimate that will be 100 and what?
Between $120,000 and $130,000.
And how much was the grant actually for?
There were two separate grants. The original contract price, I believe, was $344,000. The exact number, with some change orders, $365,907.64.
And how long would the process be for the rebidding out of it?
It's over $100,000, so it would take, I believe, Jerry, that's 31 days? 31 days.
And then after that, what is the estimate time for the project to be complete?
Oh, well, that would depend on the contractor that we choose and their bid. But we're talking demolishing what's there. And I guess, Julio, do you have...
To complete this project, basically, you're talking about 3 months, plus or minus, to finish.
Yeah, I was trying to find some photos on it, but I don't see it in my packet, but okay. All right, thank you.
Any further questions from council? All right, I'll open the public hearing. Any questions from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk?
Vice Chairman Burgess,
Yes.
Board Member Shelley,
Yes.
Board Member Williams.
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado.
Yes.
Board Member Wallman.
Yes.
Chairman Bateman.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tab 5, Car 803, CRA, not-for-profit grant program, fiscal year end 2012, 2013.
Car 4.
Tab number
Oh,
4.
I'm sorry, we skipped one. All right, tab 4, car number 840, supplement of professional engineering consulting service.
CRA staff recommends the CRA board authorize the city manager to approve the resolution for additional services provided by Bramillo Ajimal and Partners, Inc. in the amount of $14,500 as it relates to contract 12-CR-005. On February 23rd, 2012, the CRA entered into a non-exclusive professional service agreement with Bramillo Ajimal and Partners, Inc. at the direction of the board for Southwest 4th Street improvements. The amending proposal increases the contract total of $149,785 to $164,285. The contract work is in the process of completion. On January 23rd, 2012, the CRA board allocated $1 million to the Southwest 4th Streetscape and roadway improvement project. On February 22nd, 2012, the CRA board approved the resolution to accept the proposal from Bramillo Ajimal and Partners for engineering services for Southwest 4th Streetscape and roadway improvements. A portion of the original contract covered construction management services. These construction management services were based on the estimated man-hours necessary to complete the construction phase of the project. Unforeseen underground utility issues necessitated additional site visits and coordination meetings, and have exhausted the allotted man-hours prior to the completion of the project. The $14,500 increase to the original contract will allow the vendor to offer services until the completion of the project. Due to cost savings during the construction, the $14,500 would not increase the overall cost of the Southwest 4th Streetscape and roadway improvement project.
Thank you. Motion? Move it on.
Motion.
Second. Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Questions from council?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Yes.
You're saying that because there was so much more that was indicated that needed to be done as far as consulting work, that we ran out of the money that we had allotted for that, and so they need another 14?
Yeah, the contract was based on estimated time to complete the project, how many site visits and how many meetings that they would have. We had estimated having a meeting every 2 weeks, but the unforeseen conditions under the ground has necessitated having weekly meetings. We want, this is a very important project to us, and we want to make sure that we have the professional staff on call to do the inspections that we need. As you can see, what we have out there, there's a lot of trees all in the swales, and we found that the utilities were much closer to those swales than previously thought. So we had to really be extremely careful in how we implemented the streetscape. So working with Julio and the city staff, we felt that we really needed to take close look at this, and we do want to make sure we have enough that at the end of this project, we can make sure that everything is designed the way we expect it to be designed.
And so how much were they allotted for management services before?
The initial contract, I believe, was $36,000, and this would bring them to $50,000.
Follow-up question, where's the timeline now that we are finished with the 4th Street landscape?
We just have the larger trees in. We still need to do the lower shrubbery along it. The irrigation is almost complete as well. Following that, we have to remove a majority of the curbing that was put in because it was unsatisfactory.
Right.
So we're going to have to reinstall that, and then there's milling and resurfacing of the road. We're looking for punch list items in the middle of July.
I'm glad you brought that up. Now, that redoing the walls, now, that's not going to be at any cost to us.
Oh, no, sir. Okay. That's a requirement of the contract. That's at no cost to us.
All right, very good. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Any further questions from council?
Quick
Yes. Mr. Burgess.
Here it states, contract of 149,000, what number is that I read when you say 36 versus 140?
The original contract was for design and engineering, which is a much higher cost. Included in that was construction management services, which was a portion of was 36,000.
I didn't see that broken down. Thank you.
Any further questions from council? At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public on this item. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any final questions from council? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado?
Yes.
Board Member Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Car number 803, tab 5, CRA Not-for-Profit Grant Program, fiscal year 2012-2013. Rick?
Staff recommends the CRA Board approve the resolution authorizing the disbursement of funds based on the recommendations made by the Nonprofit Grant Committee. The recommendations are as follow: Homestead Main Street, $35,000; Greater Miami Youth for Christ, $35,000; South Dade Weed and Seed, $20,000; Art South, $20,000; Les Jardins Community Center, $20,000; Fresh Start Family Services, $20,000. We count Redlands Tropical Gardens, 0. We count 10,000.
Okay. Questions from council?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
This was one of the items that I think we postponed the last time. My questions that I had before, have you all had an opportunity to figure out how we're going to monitor that, how we're going to be able to monitor the funds and answer my questions that we had the last time? Because last time the process got held up because of those questions that were pretty not satisfactory to me. My colleagues kind of agreed some of them. So going forward, now where do we stand?
Well, I think one of the first questions was, how do we know that the programs meet the goals of the CRA? And that is really the purpose of the committee. The committee's job is to look at these programs, look at the CRA plan, and see if they fit within the scope of what we try to do. That's the committee's purpose. And then they make recommendations based on that, and they make funding recommendations. Once that's done, each one of the grantees has to sign a grant contract with us. And as part of that, we are requesting now that at the end of the process with the grant, that they, and this is, I'll read the exact paragraph out of the contract that we'd like to put into the contract. The CRA reserves the right to audit recipients during a grant term and for a period of 6 years following termination of the agreement. Audits conducted under this provision shall be in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. In addition, recipient shall, within 90 days of the close of its fiscal year, submit to the CRA a financial statement prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, accounting for these funds and reporting upon the manner in which they were expended. Also, if they were to spend the money on something that wasn't in their plan, we have the right to get that money back.
Right, but what I'm asking you is for my question is, during the process of the grant that we're giving out, have we determined if we're going to give them all the funding up front, or are we going to, they submit their receipts or however of program costs, and then we cut the check? That was my...
We recommend that we continue to give them one lump sum. You know, these programs have been waiting an extremely long time for this money, and we looked at the different types of monitoring that the county does and that sort of thing, and it's at this point we don't have, I believe, the capability in the CRA to monitor 10 or 15 different programs like that. So it's our recommendation is to do the one lump sum, and then if the board so chooses, do the audits at the end of the fiscal year.
Wait a minute, you're saying 15 programs. We're only funding, how many programs are we funding?
8, but the year prior, I think we did 10, so every year it's a little different.
Okay, so you've not, in my comments and what I've indicated prior to, not been able to answer that or my questions and how we're going to do that, or you're still going to proceed as normal, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's what I had a problem with before, and thought maybe some resolution would happen. I'm not going to, tonight, I'm not going to hold up the process any longer, but going forward, I would expect that, that the comments that we have, or I have, raises issues that they be taken, with consideration, with the purpose and intent going forward next year, that we do it differently to make sure that we add those concerns in which I had for the program of the nonprofits. Because what I don't want to see is we give them all the money and the product in which they're developing that we have not looked at or monitored until after we have given them the money to even see if they met their benchmarks. So, you know, going forward, I guess what I'd like to see done is that we do not give them all lump sum monies for next year. But yeah, I understand they've been in waiting this year, but somehow we need to put it into the process, and I hope my colleagues agree with me tonight that going forward there needs to be some type of process, and then you all need to budget in your within your means to have the ability to be able to do that. Because if you all are expending the funds of the CRA dollars, then you all should also have the capability throughout the city, somehow somebody should be able to do it, that will be able to ensure that these benchmarks are met and that the monies that we are giving are going towards the purpose in which they are allocated for. Now, I've got some philosophical differences in which of some of the applicants, but I'm not going to bring that up now. But going forward, I think that there needs to be bring back to us at another later time workshop so we can tweak this a little bit more. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Shelley, Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Kind of echoing what Councilwoman said, I mean, that was my understanding for the last meeting was we had two things we were going to look at. One is what safeguards could be put in place immediately for this particular group of applicants who have already gone through the process. Was there any way to put a safeguard in that wouldn't hold the process up, but also give us a chance to make sure we can find out where the monies have gone and what they've done with them? And so I understand that I guess this paragraph that you have here does establish that for the current group of applicants. And so I'm okay with that because, again, I think they've gone through the process, they followed the rules that we had in place at the time of this particular application, and so I'll support this tonight. However, I do echo my colleagues' sentiments in that I think that we need to evaluate the process and have a better analysis of what safeguards could be put in going forward, what the cost of those safeguards might be, and then make some decisions before we start this process again, because I know we will be coming up soon to the next grant process cycle. And so before we get there, before we put the rules back out there and people apply and start following those rules, I too would like to see us have a conversation about what we can do to make sure that the monies are used appropriately, that we can monitor it and find out what other cities are doing, what other CRAs might be doing, and the cost of that. Ultimately, we may determine that it's too costly, that we can't administer it. So I would at least like to have that conversation and see what those options are before we start the next cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? Okay, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Questions from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Final questions from council. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
We need a motion, please, Mr. Mayor.
I move that I move the item.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Board Member Shelley?
Yes.
Board Member Williams?
Yes.
Board Member Maldonado?
Yes.
Board Member Wallman?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Burgess?
Yes.
Chairman Bateman?
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay. Okay, the next item is just a discussion item. Staff report, car number 865, Dade Medical College update. Discussion or comments? Tab 6. Entertain a motion to move it on.
Move it.
Second. It's open.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, as you know, in December of 2011, the board approved an option agreement with Florida Educational Center of Homestead. They do business as Dade Medical College for the purchase of 19 CRA-owned lots west of Losner Park. As part of that option agreement, the optionee needs to receive all of the requisite site plan approvals from the city prior to you going and voting on the project. As part of that, they have submitted an application for development of 2 of the parcels. Those applications were brought to the Development Review Committee, and comments were made. We wanted to give you an update of where they stand in the process, and Joe Cordino is here to give you that update and to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. As the CRA director said, Dade Medical submitted 3 applications for consideration in April of 2013. They have submitted a special exception for their school, a variance for some front setbacks, and a site plan for the construction. What they had intended to construct in their letter of intent was a school to be built in a single phase at about 28,000 square feet with approximately 7,000 square feet of outdoor space, about 9,600 square feet of classrooms, about 2,500 square feet of retail, and about 4,600 square feet of auditorium space. As you know, our process is a threefold process where an applicant submits the application, it gets reviewed by staff at our Development Review Committee. It then, when they satisfy the comments, it then moves to the Planning and Zoning Board and then to the City Council for review. The phase we're in now is the Development Review Committee meeting. We had that meeting in May, on May 21st, and the applicant was reviewed, had a handful of comments, most specifically dealing with needing to address some variance criteria, needing to address the special exception criteria, and the provision of parking spaces. Well, one question we wanted to get clarification on was the applicant had stated that they really intended to build something that didn't match the letter of intent on the 4,600 square feet of the auditorium. They may intend to put a urgent care center there. We just need clarification on that because it's different from what the application has been submitted for. So we'll keep you updated as the project progresses through the process.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none.
No, hang on.
Go ahead.
Just for clarification, can you back and remind me exactly what they intended with their original application?
Well, the application that's in now, as it stands, is for a school to be built in a single phase, about 2,800 square feet. It had several components to it.
But you brought up an urgent care facility.
Yeah. Well, here, let me tell you what the intent was. The intent was 7,000 square feet of outdoor park space, 9,600 square feet of classroom space, 2,500 square feet of retail, 4,600 square feet of auditorium. And they had suggested that what they preferred to do was not in conformance with the letter of intent and wanted to switch out, I guess it's the 4,600 square feet of auditorium for an urgent care. And so, again, we asked clarification because we're reviewing an application for the auditorium, not the urgent care.
Is there any, James, I guess to you, if they give a application or their intent is one thing and they bring it in as another, is that something that we would have to okay as the sale of land went for one thing and now they're trying to change the plan?
Well, the purchase option contract specifies specifically what the applicant was going to propose site plan-wise to bring back to you. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. At this point, the application materials and the materials submitted to the planning department have not changed. There has been no official letter of intent to change those plans submitted, so it would presumably change the terms.
But she's telling me that their intention was at the meeting was to change it, and maybe there hasn't been a letter of intent, but there has been discussion of change. So how do we deal with that?
I think you would, have to get some sort of confirmation
I
from.
think we have it if they brought it to the DRC, which is the first step of planning and zoning, and it doesn't match what the contract for the, or not the contract, but the intention of the sale of land was, then what do we do? What do we
From
go?
my understanding, everything that's submitted in the planning department, unless staff can provide otherwise, matches or seems to be in line with the purchase agreement. I think they've maybe discussed with staff possibly changing, but nothing's been formally submitted.
So then that discussion would have to come to council to be approved, and then before anything could be done over there, council would have to say that would be okay. I mean, the variance can't go through somewhere down the road, and we end up not having what we may have thought we were going to get, or what we thought the intention was of when we sold them the land.
If I could clarify, I think there's two documents. The first one is the document where they submit a proposal explaining what they want to do with the property and why the CRA should sell them the property. During those discussions, an option agreement is approved, which gives them a variety of different categories. The urgent care center that they're discussing may fit within that option agreement category, although that's not what they submit as formal plans into the DRC. They submit plans that are in alignment with that original proposal that went to you as they were looking to purchase the land. And so the staff conflict right now, with the conflict they're having, is that we have the letter that outlines what they're proposing during the request to purchase the property. Then they submit their plans and they align with that. But when they're actually meeting with the applicants at the public DRC meeting, the applicant, in essence, says that, well, this is what we have on paper. The likelihood is we're going to do something different. So where the conflict is for the staff is they don't really know what they have at this time.
Yes, Ms. Wall.
I'm a little confused. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
My microphone's not acting too. You know, I sat through all those meetings. I'm looking at you, Joe, because you were there. I sat through all those meetings, and I thought the full intention was a school. This comes as a surprise to me, because to me, that's not full disclosure. And if you're going to have an urgent care center, then we need to have open forum. We need to talk about this in the community, because I don't even think the hospital is aware of this, Homestead Hospital. Do you know if they're aware of this change?
I have no idea if they're aware of the change. The first I heard of it was at the DRC meeting, and we've asked for clarification. And hopefully, as part of their comments, the applicant will give us clarity on that, so we know how to proceed.
So at this point, where it's already come before the DRC as a children's hospital, correct? As a portion of it as a children's hospital?
No, it's come as a school with the retail space and an auditorium.
Okay,
So
where
that's what they've applied for.
Okay, so where does the urgent care center come in?
Well, they suggested that what they really want to do is not what they've applied for in the letter of intent. As far as we're concerned from the development services perspective, we're processing what they said in the letter of intent, which is the school, which is the auditorium, and which is the retail space.
But also, the other point, if I can interrupt, is that they made mention at the DRC meeting that they have signed a letter of intent with Miami Children's Hospital, either a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding, and I'm not sure which one they said.
I think it was the memo.
Memorandum of understanding with Miami Children's Hospital, and that their intention was to use part of the property for that. So again, that's the confusion for the staff here, is we have an application that one says one thing, but verbally they've said something different.
Well, I would feel better if staff went back with the attorneys and actually sat down and looked at this contract, because, you know, I bought into it as one thing, and now I'm finding out that it's something different. And I have a strong connection with Homestead Hospital as far as the good that it does for our community. I know that because I am very involved with the hospital, I know there's a difference with the Medicaid payouts, and, you know, this opens a whole big bushel of concern for me. So I would feel much better moving forward, talking to my constituents when people ask me questions, knowing what their full intentions are. So I would like to ask for clarification through the attorney at a different meeting, to just talk to them, find out what their deal is. I mean, do we even have a valid contract at this point? And let me know what's going on, because I'm very surprised. And we're talking about how much square footage did you say?
We're talking about 4,600 square feet in the auditorium, which is approximately 30% of all the programmable space. You know, if you looked at the space in the school, the classrooms, the retail, and the auditorium, it's about 30% of that space. Significant amount.
I mean, I don't know how my colleagues feel, but I would just like to have more clarification and more information. So, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Mr. Shaw.
Just a quick question, and that is, if they do change what they're planning on doing based on this memorandum that they've submitted, does that require them to start the entire process over, or do they just change midstream? Because I know that there's a timeline in the contract that requires them, I think it was 2 years, to exercise or complete the process. So where would that affect the process as well?
They would have to start over because the application will have changed, and the impact analysis that they have done will be based on different use. And so we would have to look at all that over again. And that was our concern, that if you wanted to make a change, you make a change now. And wait to the end, you have to go through the whole process again. And again, like I said, it's a three-pronged process. DRC, planning and zoning, takes typically about 4 months to get through.
Okay. Yeah, so that's my question. I wanted to make sure that if they are going to change things midstream, that it doesn't just keep on going, that everything starts over, everyone has a chance to look at it, vet it, make sure that it complies with everything. You know, and so, yeah, I would also agree that I think it would be a good time, now would be the time to make sure that we analyze it, make sure that if they are going this route, that the use would actually comply underneath the contract or the option contract versus waiting till the end to address that issue.
Thank you. Before I call for adjournment, I'd like to remind everyone here tonight that there are 31 items on the agenda, 31. So I ask you to hang tight and let's start the meeting, and then you can move as you need to after that. But let's at least get the meeting started. So with that said, I move to adjourn. The CRA board member. Have a second? All right, all in favor? All right, thank you.